It's real, guys. It's here. It's big, it's beautiful, and I read it in 11 hours. So, yeah. This is only the second, like, live reaction slash, like, vlog I've done. The other one was for ACOFAS when that came out. So, I have a lot of feelings, and it's gonna get emotional. It's gonna get a little crazy. I, for the first time, too, took, like, page-by-page notes almost. Like, so many notes, guys. This book was huge. So, anyway, I'm gonna dive right in and explain how this is gonna go for you. So, just stick around for about a minute here, and then you'll know what's happening. So, okay. So, I'm going to break this review into 3 parts. First, I'm going to do a little 2-minute non-spoilery part so that because this is going up the week of release, I understand a lot of people won't have been able to get through this book as quickly as I did. Like, I totally understand that. I had the whole day off and I read it from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. It was amazing. I'm so glad I was able to do it that way. But I understand if others of you can't, and it may be weeks or months or years later that you're seeing this. So the first time, like I said, I'm going to do about a 2-minute non-spoilery part. Then you're going to see my live reaction vlog. So I'll show you kind of my day of going to pick up the book, my initial reactions to the first couple things I've read, and then we'll get to the third part, which is going to be the spoilers and feelings part. I will not hold anything back. I was so excited to read this. I'm going to spoil lots of things. So there's going to be a warning in the description. There's going to be a warning here. There's going to be a warning across the screen when it's time for that to happen. Like, a lot of people like to be spoiled ahead of time, especially for a book this big and this intense, and you're scared. You don't know who's going to die, who's going to live, who's going to end up together, and you need someone to be your trusted advisor and help you through it. And that's me. I love watching these reviews. They're the first things I ever really watched on BookTube. And so it's such an honor for me to get to make them myself. So this vlog is going to be super long. I love you so much if you stick through the whole thing. If you don't, if you only watch a part of this and then you want to come back later, I love you anyway. It's cool. Here we go. Kingdom of Ash came out on October 23rd, 2018. This is the 7th and final novel in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I started this series probably about 2 years ago, maybe a little less than that, but it was not too far before Empire of Storms came out. I loved it. I don't know why it took me so long to read it, because I had the first 2 books for probably like 2 years before, but I just wasn't hyped enough for them. So my initial feelings and rating for this book, I loved it. I read it so fast. It was hard, but it was mostly hard because it's a final book, and I have issues finishing final books. You'll know this if you've been on my channel. Like, usually I get through books 1 and 2 of a trilogy or a series, and then I get stuck because I either have fallen off of the series and think it's boring, or I love it so much that I can't handle it, and I'm afraid what's going to happen. And I was afraid, you're afraid that everyone's going to die and you're just going to be broken inside, and I'm not one of those. Like, I don't need there to be just comeuppance or the horrors of war. Like, I just want my babies to defeat evil and live through it. That is what I want. And I'm not telling you one way or the other what happens, because it was hard. But I, of course, give this 5 out of 5 stars. I said in my Goodreads review, which I kept non-spoiler, that it's so hard when you're at a 7th book in a series to still be objective anymore, because you don't usually read through the whole series if you're going to hate it. Like books 1, 2, and 3, that's the time you can be objective. That's the time you can say, oh, this writing style, I don't like it. Oh, this character annoys me, blah, blah, blah. Once you are 7 books deep, you're reading it because you're in love with the people, because you care what happens to Aelin, because you want that Fleetfoot puppy to be mentioned again and know that all's well with them. Like, there are things that you're in it for that you don't really care about how it was written. Maybe there's others who don't feel that. I've said multiple times, I am a for feels reader. I read for how it makes me feel, not how perfectly constructed a story is or any of that. That being said, I think she did an amazing job. I think Sarah wrapped up all the little plots we've been shown over the past 6 books and 8 years, and I think she did, or 6 years, and I think she did an amazing job, and I love it so much. So it's 5 out of 5 stars. If you love these characters, you're going to want to read it. Pretty much every character gets a good moment. Like everybody has something awesome that they do or say or cool moment that makes them relevant, and I really appreciated that, even though during some parts you're like, Aylin's in a box, okay? Aylin's in a box. I don't care about this person right now. That happened a few times. We'll get in more into that in the spoiler, but I still cared about everyone and I wanted good things for them. So that's going to be it for the non-spoilery part. Next, we're going to go into my day of buying the book and then starting to read it, and there's a few clips. I know I look like trash, but I had the day off and I wasn't putting on makeup to film these vlogs. So sorry, but not sorry. I dressed up pretty for this review for you guys. Okay? Okay. Well, now I'm going to say goodbye. There are spoilers in that vlog. So any chance you have of getting out of non-spoilers now, it ends right now. Again, you're warned. Spoilers will start with this next clip. See you in a few minutes. Hey friends, good morning. So today, right now, it is about 8:30 a.m. on October 23rd. So it's Kingdom of Ash Day. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm sitting in my car. It's heating up because it's 23 degrees here in Fargo. I am so excited. Pardon me, I haven't put any makeup on or anything. I need a shower. But I decided I'm gonna try Target. Because I didn't pre-order this because I wanted to be able to get it earlier in the day, and if I would have ordered it any other way, I would have had to wait till later. So yeah, so I'm gonna go to Target, pick up the book, get some coffee, and then I'll come back and get ready for the day, and then I'll start reading. I have a whole day uninterrupted for this, so it should be really fun. I'm expecting a lot of emotional feels. I'm gonna try to get as far into it as I can. I doubt I'll finish it all in one day just because I'll probably need to break, but my hope is to just get through it, because I hate spoilers and I hate knowing things, so I'm just gonna push into it. But I'm super excited, and I'll check in with you soon. Well, first setback, Target is sold out already. So I putzed around for a little bit because Barnes & Noble doesn't open until 9. So that is the drawback of not pre-ordering, but I'm going to get there right when they open, so there shouldn't be a problem. But anyway, after a false start, I will check in again once I have the book. Here we go. I, of course, found it at Barnes & Noble. Super excited. I have all day to read. It's only 9:40, so wow. I'm suffering from dumbstruck that it's here. It's so pretty. And it's huge. It's so beautiful. I can't wait. My heart is hurting now. I'm scared. Ooh. So I'm not that far in yet, but man, I have to take it slow right now until some action is happening, because so far we're just kind of checking in with each character, seeing how not okay they are. Wow, it's so... Also, so my main questions right now is I'm not really sure how much time has passed. Like, I haven't seen a clear marker of like how long this has been, because like they'll keep saying like it's days, months, years, but I don't think it's really been years. Like, I don't think it's been that long, just because I feel like the army would have attacked by now. I don't know. Anyway, I know this isn't making a lot of sense yet. I just wanted to do a check-in. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. So it hasn't been that long and I've had a lot of questions answered. So time to break in. This is where the aggressive spoilers start. So if you didn't believe me at the beginning when I told you this would be full of spoilers, it's happening now. I'm about to say some things that are happening. So the first thing I found out is right after this last clip, literally the next sentence I read was Manon telling us how long it's been. So it's been 2 months since Aelin got kidnapped, which isn't as long as I thought the time was going to be. I'm glad it's not that long. I'm glad she hasn't been being tortured for years or anything. So 2 months. Next, we finally checked in with Chaol and Yrene. And, oh my God, Yrene is pregnant. Holy crap. I wasn't expecting that. I had a feeling there'd be some people getting pregnant in this book. Like, it's just... it was about time, because you can't, I don't know. I feel like you can't have 4 different couples hooking up and having sex and like someone not get pregnant. Like, I'm just saying, like, that's a thing that happens. And I don't know what that's like gonna mean. Like, is she gonna be able to like keep taking care of Chaol in that way as this happens? Like, how long is this book gonna take place over? I don't know, but I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out that I just found that out. Wow. That's so cool. Also, after reading Tower of Dawn, I was so happy to check in on Chaol and Yrene. Like, that book was hard to get through for me just because of where Empire of Storms, like, ended. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't care about what's happening with Chaol right now. But I grew to love him so much and, like, grew back into respect for him, just the things that he went through. And Yrene, I loved Yrene right away. Like, she was awesome. So I'm really happy for them, and it makes me really excited. So anyway, I just had to break in and say that. And so many feelings. So many feelings. Hey, it is now 2 p.m. I am on page 237. Aelin is just about to be tortured with fire, which is awful because her torturer is trying to make her fear her fire, which just breaks my heart. Like, she's holding on and like Rowan is like almost there. Like, I'm good. I'm glad. I can't take any more of this torture. It's like so bad. And like Maeve went to go get a Vogue, I don't know how they say the name, collar so that she can possess Aelin with a vlog prince so that they can find out where the weird key is, which is just so scary. So like Aelin doesn't know what she's gonna do. So I'm really counting on Rowan here. I'm just trying to live through the pain because it's pretty brutal. Just past the halfway point. Oh my gosh, there was this amazing scene where their forces are trapped against Chaol Westfall's home, and they were on this battlefield, and the enemy is bursting the dam that holds back the river to flood the armies, like to flood and kill them all. and Aelin drops down and uses all the fire that she's been saving. She's been saving all of her power to be able to kill Maeve. And she uses all of it to burn up the water and save everyone in the valley. And it's so good. Like, I'm sure there's still good things coming, but this is gonna sit as like one of my favorite scenes in the series so far. It's so good. And it doesn't hurt that she saved Ild and Lorcan, who are finally like getting over their stuff, because Ild's been torturing Lorcan for a while and I'm sick of it, but there is kind of a pattern now so far. Wow. So I just finished. It is 9 p.m., which means I finished this in just under 12 hours. It's so good, guys. It's so good. I think I need to like think about it overnight before I like try to film my reviews of it, but it was really great. So, hey friends, it is spoiler time for Kingdom of Ash. Look at this. I never take this many notes. I have pages and pages and pages of notes. We'll see how well I decipher them as I'm trying to share my feelings back to you. Because guys, this was hard. This was real hard on me. It was real hard on my heart. And there was a lot of times where I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it through this. But I did, because I read it in 11 hours and that was a thing. So again, it is spoiler time. I'm just going to, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm really kind of going to go through the book basically, and then, you know, each moment that meant a lot to me, because that's what I like most about these kind of long form reviews, is so that I can, you know, squee over the same things as the person or be frustrated about the same things as who's ever reading it. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is kind of just going to be a blow by blow, and then character by character as well, because I think everyone had amazing things happening. So let's go. Let's do this. So first off, one of the first things that I like wrote in my notes was, I'm so excited to dive in. I have no expectations except for pain. So I was like, have my tissues ready. So first off, there is the scenes that we could have possibly already read about the prince and the princess, and the once upon a time there was a princess who loved her kingdom, and I'm just like, and Aelin just tries to go to a special place as she's tortured by Karn, I think his name is, over and over, while Fenris, who is still blood oath to Maeve, has to sit there and watch. And it's so painful. So they kind of set that up. They say the wolf is watching her. And then it gets into part 1 of the book, which is called Armies and Allies. And so the way this kind of gets going is that it shows you everyone, and they're in basically like 4 different groups. So there's people in each of the places. So I kind of wrote it like this. So looking for Aelin, we have Lorcan, Ild, Gavriel, and Rowan, and they have been looking for Aelin. Then we have Aedion with Lysandra and some of the other people, but they're there with Lysandra pretending to be Aelin. They're together. And then who else is together? And then Manon and Dorian are together with the 13, and they're looking for the third weird key. Currently Dorian has the other 2, but they're trying to find the third one, which Arawan has possession of. And that's happening. And then, so everybody's kind of like split up in these different groups with each other. And, and then we have Kale and Irene, who have been making their way here, which I was so excited for the Kale and Irene scenes, like so excited. And I totally knew that she was going to be pregnant. I'm just saying. I was so excited. I knew it was going to happen. That because I'm like, please don't let her have been tortured for years. Like, you know, your heart's just like, it can't be. So, yeah, that was crazy. So now kind of jumping into like what's happening with all the characters. Obviously, everything is just the worst. Like nobody is getting along right now, and it just hurts you, right? Sorry, my stuff is fuzzy. Nobody's getting along, and it is the worst. Aedion is like not talking to Lysandra. He's saying really mean things to her, and you just want to throat punch him. Even though I love Aedion, like I'm not like, I understand him being frustrated, but I know he's mostly frustrated because he's in love with Lysandra and she, you know, tricked him, and they wouldn't trust anyone else with what was going to happen. And you're just like, please, bae, don't be mad. Don't be mad, bae. It's okay. And then also Ild and Lorcan, which I totally get why we're mad at Lorcan, but Ild is just so angry. Like, Lorcan is on everyone's shit list, which I knew was going to happen just because he's the one who kind of messed the stuff up. But you as the reader know, like, Aelin was prepared for this to happen. Like, Maeve still would have got a hold of her somehow, which is why she had to set this up with Lysandra anyway. So you feel bad that Lorcan is carrying the weight of that. And she's really just like, she's a bitter bae because she was falling for Lorcan, and then to find out he was in love with this like evil lady who was gonna torture Aelin, she's like, I can't handle my feelings. And you're just like, I know, but Lorcan, sorry, y'all, okay? Like, let's not be mad at him forever. Oh, also the thing you're waiting for then. So when you set up Chaol and Yrene is, at the beginning of this book, the only people that know that Maeve is a Vlog queen, Valg, I'm probably going to say that wrong a lot. I'm so sorry. In my head, I always say Vlog, but I think it's Valg queen, is Yrene and Chaol and Nezrin and that group of people. So we're really wanting him to start meeting up with everyone and tell them what's really happening, because it's just so much more than just her being an evil fake queen. Like, there is so much more happening. Aelin and Fenris, every time it would go back to them, it would just hurt me. And they made up this cute little like blinking code, because so Aelin, what they have her in is she has the coffin, but when they take her, but they also have these gauntlets on her so that she can't like touch anything or try to use her magic. They have iron gauntlets on and this iron headpiece. So there's only just like this slit, I believe, just like a slit where her eyes are, and then one for her mouth, so they can like feed her and she can like see a little bit. So her and Fenris made up this blinking code with each other. So my heart, guys, my heart hurts so much. So that'll be like 1 is yes and 2 is no, 3 is are you all right, 4 is what do you think, you know, like this blinking code between them. And like their bond in this book is just, it's so good, because Fenris doesn't want her to be being tortured, but like he has to just sit there and watch, and it is awful. Manon and Dorian, who they're really kind of the only couple that like things are going okay. I mean, besides Yrene and Chaol, because like hashtag married and stuff now. Dude, how did it? Hate my life right now. There we go. Oh, but it's so good. And so kind of the main like thing we have going right there is that Manon needs to unite all of the witches together so that they can all be together. So this is the part that was the most confusing to me, and like that's okay. I don't need to go through like every single detail, but basically they're searching for the weird key, and they've decided to give up doing that and focus on getting the witches together. But Dorian is still looking for the weird key because he knows that either he or Aelin will have to close the lock, and if they can't get Aelin back, then he knows that he will have to do it. That's what they're going into with the assumption for this. He summons Gavin doing this weird mark symbol, and Gavin of course doesn't really want them to close it because then he won't get to see Elena anymore. But so he's like, I can't help you or tell you where it is, but I'll tell you that it's in Morath, and Erewhon is in Morath. So to get the key from him would be scary because he would have to put himself within reach of Erewhon again, and all of the Valg callers are located there. So he'd really be putting himself in a risky position, and he knows that the witches wouldn't help him do this, so he'd be pretty much on his own. Oh my gosh, so then we get something from Rowan's point of view. So we've been around Rowan because he's with Ild and Lorcan, and we get stuff from their point of view, but then we get Rowan, and Rowan has a dream. It's so painful. Rowan has a dream of seeing Aelin, and she has 3 little kids around them, and she's pregnant with the 4th baby. And so he's dreaming about that, and it is so sad. I can't. We won't talk about it too much. And then yeah, Chaol and Yrene are my like only emotional happiness. So it wasn't until like page like 90 that there was some happiness, because we're all like, Chaol and Yrene, someone has happiness happening. And who thought I'd be so happy for Chaol? I mean, Tower of Dawn really did it for me. I am on Kale's side. I think he's great. So then we have our first death in the book. Is Aelin gets brought before Maeve, and Fenrys is there, and Fenrys' twin brother, Connell, tells Fenrys how disappointed he is in him and can't believe that he would choose Aelin over Maeve. And so Maeve, to punish Fenrys and through Fenrys punish Aelin, makes Connell kill himself. But Connell like does it as a sacrifice, and it's the worst. It's pretty much the worst. I didn't even care about Connell. Like, I don't care about him, but I care about Fenrys. And when Connell dies in front of them and then Aelin just gets put back in the box, it's the worst. It's so bad. Our first like fun little cameo is from Knox, who is way back from the first book. I knew we would see him again because he lived through the competition, and I was just waiting. I was waiting for him to show up. I've been waiting for him to show up through like Queen of Shadows and Empire of Storm. I was like, Knox has to show up. So he ends up being a messenger who is on their side. I was just like, Knox, yay. And he's on our side, so I don't care about anything else. So if you remember who he's working with, you can tell me down below. So that was fun. But then we get to Aelin is starting to give up, and it is so stressful. And then she has a vision of her mother. Her mother, Evelyn, comes and visits her and tells her not to give up. And so Aelin she takes her gauntlets and slams them against the roof of the coffin. And she says, "You do not yield. I will not give up. You do not yield." And she actually ends up like buckling it upward, but then they come and gas her and they reinforce it. But when she does it, she sends out her power. It's the strongest that she's been in a while. And Rowan and them are able to hear it. They're able to hear it, and then they figure out which city she's in, because they've been looking in the wrong places back and forth, and then they finally get a good idea of where she's going. So yeah, so they come up with a plan to get Maeve out of Doranel, is where she's keeping her. And so Rowan and Lorcan and Gavriel and Ild, they set out this rumor that Erewhon has an empty vlog princess collar. So Maeve tells Aelin, "Hey, I'm gonna go get that collar and I'm gonna put a vlog princess inside of you, and we'll see how long it takes for you to give me what I want, for you to tell me where the third weird key, or for the other two weird keys are." And so Aelin then really is about to give up hope. And they move her to a different location, but still in Doranel. They move her to like the middle of the encampment. And Karn is going to torture her this one day. And Aelin makes a run for it. And Fenrys, she's trying to make a run for it. And Fenrys actually breaks his blood oath and attacks Karn. And in doing so, he breaks his blood oath, so he starts to die. Because if you break the blood oath, you die. So he uses the last of his strength to attack Karn so Aelin can get away. So Aelin runs out, and just as she is trying to escape, the others get there. And so they see her running, and she won't stop running. She's naked, like running, or she's not naked, she's wearing a shift. She starts running out of there as fast as she can. And they all catch up with her, and she says, "Fenrys is back there, go get him." So Rowan goes back in to get him, and they bring him to her. And they can't get, it's so sad, she can't get the gauntlets that she's wearing and the mask are held in place by weird marks. And so they like can't get it off. And she's like, "Get it off, get it off, get it off." And she's just screaming and crying. And I just can't handle it. It hurts me so much. It hurts so much. But they figure out that if they use their blood and like unlock it, they can get it off by making the symbol. So then Fenrys is dying, and Aelin offers him a new blood oath to replace the one that he broke with Maeve. This was the first place that I started crying. It was page like 240 and I just couldn't handle it. And so they end up escaping and they make it away, and these little folk, which are kind of like woodland nymphs and creatures, they take them through these underground tunnels instead of trying to escape overland, because they know that like Maeve would be able to find them if they went that way. So they're underground in this cavern, and that is how they're traveling on these underground rivers to hook up with other people, hopefully. Still, nobody has like met up with each other yet. I think so. Trying to keep track of when that happens, but the reunions in this are so good. So then we have another character comeback, which I was really looking forward to this. So Dorian goes to summon Gavin again to find out what he needs to do to get this key from Erewhon, and Caltaine Rompierre shows up, which is amazing. I'm just like so happy to see her, because she's that character that you're like, you hate with everything and then you love with everything. And Caltaine is that for me. Like I was like, there's no way you're gonna make me care about this crazy ass woman, but she had my heart. She had me. And so she explains to Dorian some things he's going to have to do to get it. So then we're underground with Aelin and crew, and they stop at this place where there's some like buried treasure. I think it's like a catacomb or something. Not buried treasure, but there's this catacomb with this money in it. And she finds her and Rowan wedding rings, and she gives him a ring with a ruby on it, and she gets a ring with an emerald on it, and it just made me so happy. It made me so happy, guys. It was so good. And then so shortly after that, they have a reclaiming, which was our first little happy time. And it was so good, because she's like, what are you waiting for? And he's like, I'm waiting for permission to touch you because you've been being tortured by someone for 2 months. And I don't just want to be all like, I'm your mate. I'm here to mate. And she's like, oh no, let's do this. And so that was really great. I was excited for that. So then Chaol gets to Aniel, where that's where his father's castle is, which, if you'll remember, Chaol has been disowned when he chose to be the captain of the guard for the king. And so he goes home and introduces his wife, and he finds out that his mother and brother have left his father because they're bad people. And you find out that Chaol's mother had been writing to him the whole time he was gone. And his father had been intercepting the letters and keeping them all, because he was like, there had to be consequences for you leaving. And if you could just talk to your mom whenever you wanted, that wouldn't be a consequence of you losing your title, which, dude is a cold ass mofo. I'm just saying, we hate him. So then we get to, so in chapter 42, Lorcan gets given a choice by Aelin that he can either swear a blood oath to her, or he has to leave them, which he doesn't want to do because he doesn't want to leave Ild. He loves her. And she's like, you can take your blood oath to me, and the only order I will ever give you is to protect me and my people. That's it. That'll be the only order I ever give you. And if you do that, you'll be allowed to come into my court and you'll be able to be there. But I can't leave you as a loose cannon, able to do whatever you want. Like, if you want to come home, you have to swear a blood oath. And so he swears a blood oath to Aelin, and it's the first kind of move with Ild that starts to like make things happen, because he's showing like, I am choosing this. I'm choosing this woman. I'm choosing Aelin. I'm choosing Aelin because I love you, but that's what's happening. So that is really exciting. All the other things, you can read the details. I'm talking about my favorite parts. And so I don't want it to be a total blow by blow. I want it to be the things that stuck out to me. So at 4:05, we get Chaol and Aelin get reunited. Oh, guys. Guys, it hurt my heart so much, but it was such a beautiful hurt. Like, it was everything. It was so amazing. And then Irene and Aelin reunite, which is even more amazing, because Irene pulls out the note and she's like, this note that you wrote me and the money you gave me helped me change my life. And through this note, I was able to meet Kale and be able to like get redemption or like healing from what happened to me. And now I heal people, and it is so good. And so it's so good. And so then there's also this cute little thing, which doesn't have anything to do with that, where Gabriel is talking to them about his son because, you know, he hasn't got to be around Adion a lot. And he says, Adion is my pride. And like, it just, tears. Gabriel gives me so many feels in this because I don't know how to picture him, but I just picture him as like, he's that steady, good-natured, strong person that you always want in your corner. And like, he wants to be in his son's life so much. And I just love it. Aelin finds out that Maeve is the Vogue Queen and not just the Fairy Queen. And this is amazing because I skipped this because, again, I didn't write down every detail. But when Aelin fights back in one of the points, she throws a shard of glass at Maeve, and when she cuts her, she bleeds black for a couple seconds before Maeve turns it into human blood. And so Aelin just thinks she's hallucinating because girl's been like drugged and beat up for 2 months. But when they tell her, she's like, I had a feeling about it. 4:49, and like, Adion is still being a jackass to Lysandra, and Ild won't even like talk with Lorcan about what she's feeling. And so I was like, these couples need to get their shit together. And so Adion also gets in trouble with Garo, I think it's Garo. And Garo takes his sword away from him, which I was like, bitch, you did not just take away his sword. Aelin is gonna be so mad at you, but he like loses his position. Manon gets made Queen of the Witches, but which we all knew was going to happen. So I'm not going to lie, in this book, my like least favorite parts were that, but I'm planning to reread the whole series again because I never gave Manon enough time of day until it was like too late. I know, don't hate me, but when I reread like Heir of Fire through this one, I really want to focus on her stuff more because I do realize how amazing she is. I'm just a little behind the curve, y'all. Give me some grace, okay? So I didn't make as many notes about her stuff in there. But, okay, so we're at this super intense part. They have this battle set up where some of Erewhon's forces have trapped their forces on the outside of Kale's, family home. Is it Kale's home? I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so at this part of the battle where there's the fortress here and there's mountains on both sides, and behind one of the mountains there's like a dam that's holding back a river that goes beside it, and Erewhon's troops have trapped them in this place. And so then Erewhon's troops they weaken the dam, and so the dam is about to break and it's going to wipe out everybody who's like in this area. So they find out what they're about to do, and there's no way that they're going to be able to warn them all. And so, but they run down and they warn everyone. They're like, run for the forest or make it into the keep. So they open the doors to the keep and they let in as many people as they can. People are coming in. Well, Lorcan had went down to fight, and Ild had said she didn't care if he came back or not. In fact, she hoped he wouldn't, which as soon as she said it, you're like, well, something's going to happen to Lorcan. And so Lorcan has gotten hurt, and he is just laying down there. And so she grabs her horse and starts booking it out there. And so everyone can see what's happening. Like, they see what she's doing. And Ilda's kind of an important person. She's an important person in this. So like, what is she doing? But no one's going to be able to make it to her in time. So she races out and gets him, makes him get on the horse. And he is kind of like delirious, and he's like, I'm sorry that I couldn't prove myself to you. I love you. Please don't think ill of me once I'm gone. And she's just like, shut up, we're gonna make it. And he's like, just let me go. Let me fall off the back of the horse. You won't be fast enough if you don't let me go. And she grabs he's gonna let go of her because she's in front and he's holding on to her. And she like grabs his arm and like digs her nails in and shit. And so he's like, if I let go, I'm gonna take her off the horse with me. So they're running, and the dam is about to break. And so Aelin, she goes out in this beautiful armor, which, let me show you a picture of her armor, because this is the armor she wears. This beautiful armor, like this. And she goes down to the middle of the battlefield, and she has been burrowing down into her power for the 2 months that she was in captivity. So she has this huge amount of energy all saved up in her. It's all saved up in her. And she sends off this huge like fire to burn up all the water. And then Rowan has to use his power to cool the steam that it makes so that it doesn't boil them all alive. But Aelin actually, like the fire and the water burst together, and she's able to dry up all the water so that they don't drown. And she uses all that energy she has saved up to kill Maeve. She uses to save these people. And so she's like, how am I going to save them now? And she's like, well, we'll find another way. I'll find another way to do it. So that's super intense. That happened. The next amazing thing that happened is Manon proposes to Dorian, and it's adorable. She says they should form an alliance, and she asks him to marry her, like legit asks him to marry her. And so they have some sexy time, but then he takes the keys and goes to Morath. Dorian, he does that. So then Ild obviously forgives Lorcan, and Lorcan, she's like, did you mean what you said when you were delirious? And he's like, yes, I love you. My heart is so happy. I can't make a heart right now. Ha 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 ha. Lorcan and Ild are the people I was rooting for the most. So anyway, so that's amazing. So then we get to part 2, which I totally forgot there were parts at this point. But it's called Gods and Gates. So, wow. So again, I need to get a little bit busier here because there's all the happy like seriously, I am only halfway through my notes and we've been talking for all this time. Dorian goes to Morath to get the key and runs into Maeve, and him and Maeve kind of make an alliance, but then she double crosses him. He gets the weird key. And then she double crosses him and tries to take it back, but then he knew she would try to double cross him, so it was a double cross. And when she tries to grab his mind, he had set a trap in his mind for her, and then she's trapped. And so he leaves her there and gets away with the 3rd key. So now he has all 3 keys, and it's amazing. And Manon shows up. So we're getting into the like final thrust of everything here. So Manon finally gets to where Aedion is. And so where Aedion is in Orinth. So I was wrong. They were at where Kael's family was. So now they take that force and they're trying to meet with where Aedion is because they're trying to defend Orinth in Terrasen. Sorry, again, bad with the geography. And so Manon shows up there with her host of all the people, and they start their battle. And my favorite quote Aedion says at this point is, he says, let's make this fight worthy of a song. And it is. So then finally there's Ild and Lorcan's sexy time, which I just had to mention because I've been waiting for it, and I'm not gonna hide myself. Like, I read Sarah J. Maas for some of her sexy time, and I don't care what you say. She didn't put that much in it though. Anyway, so during the fight, Abraxas gets attacked by the Iron Teeth, and I literally wrote, not Abraxas, no! Oh my gosh, I was like, don't you hurt him. Don't you hurt my baby. I can't take it. And so the 13 all sacrifice themselves to break the witch towers that are being set up. And they were honored to do it. I can't handle this. That is the next part I cried at. It was so bad, guys. I can't do it. And then right after that, Dorian makes it back to them, and him and Kael have a reunion, and then Aelin and them, they all have a reunion together, and you realize that this is the first time the trio has been together in such a long time, and all the stuff they've been through, it just took me back. It took me way back, and I'm like, these are my babies. All these fays are cool. All these extra people and witches and whatever are cool, but those are my babies. Those are the babies that I'm in this for, guys. That's what I'm here for. So then they vote on if they're going to end it, and it's so intense. It's so intense. So, as we suspected, or some of us did, Aelin and Dorian decide to try to close the weird gate together, or try to close the side together. So she brings Rowan and he brings Kale, and just the four of them go out into the middle of nowhere, and they're going to try to close it. And the gods had promised Aelin that when they closed it, they would take all of the Valg with. So that's why they're trying to do this before the battle, because if it works, then Erewhon will get taken, and then they'll just be Maeve that they have to fight. So they're hoping that's what would happen. Kind of double crosses Dorian and pushes him back out, because what happens is they both go into this trance together when she puts the weird keys in her arm, and Dorian joins her, and she pushes him out, and Dorian's father, the king, is there, and he takes Dorian's place. And Aelin, so that's why Aelin pushes Dorian out, and so they go together. And when they do it, the gods lied, and they don't take any of them with, and Aelin's going to die anyway. And so Elena comes back, and is it Elena? So also when she closes the lock, all of her magic gets taken away, which I think a lot of us also assumed that. We thought they would try together and one or both of them would lose all of their magic. So Aelin lost all of her magic when it happens, and she's trapped on the other side. And so they then decide to leave, and they're not going to help her, and it's really stupid that they just like screwed her. So Deanna decides to help, or no, what happens here? So Aelin asks that Elena be allowed. She asks that Erewhon could go with them and that Elena could stay so that she wouldn't have to be obliviated. But they don't go for that, and they double cross her, and they just leave her there. And Aelin is screaming, and it's horrible. And so outside of this place that she is, Rowan is just watching, and he feels something happening to the mating bond. And so he's like doubling over and crying, and he feels something happening to it. And it's just the most awful thing ever, because you're like, that didn't even happen when she was being tortured by Maeve, but this is happening right now, and it is the worst. So, but she decides that she's not going to give it up, and Mala gives her a tiny seed of magic back. And so Aelin decides that as the gods, it feels to me like they're like they're being all sucked through. Aelin refuses to go, and so she gives up half of herself instead of all of herself. So what she does is she gives up the human half of herself and keeps the fae self so that she's able to come back. But when she comes back, she is completely fae now. She gave up all of her humanness, so she can't like shift her personalities, and she only has an ordinary fae gift left. But she didn't lose everything. So this is where, if you were someone who wanted to be really picky, you would say that she got away with a lot of things, but no hate, no room for hate here, guys. No. They arrive there, they make it there in time before Aedion and everyone is destroyed. Lysandra and Aelin get to see each other again, happiness. Gabriel gets to see Aedion, and Aedion is like, whatever we have together after this, I want to get to know you. And guys, I'm not going to cry because I'm not that person who's like reliving it and going to cry, but it hurts me because then what happens is the bad guys are trying to break down the gate, and Gabriel like jumps down there like Superman, and he stays and fights with them. He stays fighting with them, and they find him when the dust settles with his throat torn open, and he's dead. And I'm not crying, you're crying, okay? But it was so stupid because he didn't have to do it. Like, I know, he's trying to be heroic and stuff, but Aedion, like, literally just was like, I'm so excited to get to know you. I'm proud to be your son. And then Gabriel's like, peace out, I'm gonna go die. Maeve and Erewhon show up, and Aelin does her thing. That thing where she shows up and she has no power left. Like, she's just normal, but they don't know that. And she uses just enough fire to like make them think she's messing with them. And Erewhon and Maeve, she's facing off with them, and she starts telling Erewhon all the things she knows about Maeve. Telling her like that she really was trying to like what she did with Dorian, because when she was with Dorian, she was trying to double cross him. Even though she was trying to double cross Dorian, she was definitely trying to double cross Erewhon. And so Aelin just starts sharing all the things she knows, and Maeve is like, shut up, don't believe her. But she holds them off from attacking her for a little while until Dorian and Irene are able to trick Erewhon away. So this whole big thing is that Maeve knows that there are healers that can take the Valg out of the people, and that is Irene. And Erewhon said in the land that he comes from, those people were like hunters who would like kill Valg by like pulling them out of people and everything. And so he sees Irene riding on a rook, and he chases after her and is going to try to kill her. And then it's really Dorian. Oh, I totally forgot to tell you this. Dorian figured out how to be a shapeshifter. He learned how to shapeshift. I'm so sorry. That is a very important Chekhov's gun that gets laid out earlier in this story. I'm so sorry. I totally forgot to mention that. So Dorian is disguised as Irene, and then Irene like pops out and like sucks the Valg out of him, and it's so cool. Oh, my heart is so happy. While they're torturing Erewhon, you find out, which I don't know if you guys knew this. You can tell me if it's something that's been said before. But when Erewhon took over the king, Dorian's father's body, he erased his name. So nobody knew the king's name anymore, not even the king himself. So when they're torturing this guy, throughout this book, Dorian's been struggling with his feelings about his dad and how much of his dad was evil and if there was any good left inside. And Erewhon says that Dorian's dad did fight him his whole life. He was always nigging at him and trying to get out. And when Dorian was born and he was laid in his arms, he remembered his name for 1 minute, and his name is Dorian. So he named Dorian after himself so that his name wouldn't be forgotten. So he finds out what his name is. And then they kill. And so I honestly just wrote Maeve's dead. So Aelin is able to kill Maeve with the power. I believe it's with the power of all of them. So yeah, so that's what happens. We have a little Guardians of the Galaxy moment where she joins hands with like Rowan and Fenris and some other people and is able to like channel enough power to destroy Maeve. And then she basically does a Voldemort and like her skin like flakes and she like dies. And it's pretty cool. Sorry, I didn't write any more notes because it was getting late at night. It was really a lot. So then there's the adorable wrap up, except for one wrap up here, is that they have Gavriel's funeral and Aelin says, you know, I was going to offer you the blood oath, but I wanted to offer it to your son first, but I offer it to you now. And so she like cuts herself and like dribbles blood on him. And she's like, you were a most faithful friend to me and we'll never forget you. And then, so now like the good things are happening. Here we go. We're at the downward spiral of happiness. Lorcan binds his life to Ild so that when she dies, he will die. So he's going to live a human life with her, basically. I can't handle it. And you find out that since she is like, she's a lady, he has to take her name. So his name is Lorcan Loken. and it's so funny. Like, oh, there's some humor. There, of course, is some humor because it's Sarah J. Maas, but it's very few and far between. So they get married and it's adorable. And he goes back with her to help rebuild. And it's cute because when he asks her to marry him, he's like, tell me you love me, tell me to come back to your city with you. And then he's like, ask me to marry you. And so he like, oh, it's so cute. I love Lorcan. I'm so happy he got a happy ending. It was so good. So then the witches get uncursed, the wastes start to grow flowers, and so there is a place where they can go and train, and it's super happy. And then Aelin decides she wants to try to set up like a republic or a democracy so that people get to vote on things. Because earlier they like voted on a decision. She's like, I like that. It takes some of the pressure off because I don't know how I'm going to be a good queen. You know what I mean? Which is super exciting. It's super exciting, y'all. So then they have her coronation, which is beautiful. And then Kale's mother writes him a letter and says that she would love to meet him and his wife and their baby that's on the way. And you're so happy. And then I think it's Irene who just says, why don't Manon and Dorian get married, and she's like, I'll think about it, which, you know, it breaks my heart because she already asked him and he said no. But I think, you know, it's going to work out, right? They're awesome. And then finally the trio says goodbye to each other because everybody has to go home and like now live the life that they've been waiting for. It's so beautiful. So they say goodbye. And again, I was just struck by like these three. This is the start of everything. It's so beautiful. This was like a blow by blow. The things that you liked, share with me. We made it like it. I hope you had popcorn while you were reading this, but I love you. I love you all so much. Feel free to put spoilers, but please tag them, you know, and leave some space, say spoilers, even though if you made it all the way through, you heard things. But I have so many feelings. I loved it. To reiterate again, like, I didn't need everyone to die. I feel like there was enough damage. I think when you read it, you'll see the damage I'm talking about. It's easy for me to say that it was great because I'm left with the good feelings when it's over, but some crazy stuff happened in between. And like Aelin being tortured, I don't want to read that stuff again. It was insane. It was awful. And there's a million more details I missed because this was a 900-page book, a 1,000-page book almost. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for sticking through. If you made it to this point, give me a little like high five emoji down there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming to the Book Refuge for this. I love you with all my heart. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.